to have settled from last night's tragedy, but the pandemonium continues, and even the chaos to some degree, because now we're seeing names trickle in as well of those who were killed overnight in this terrible tragedy. Those names also being publicized on Hebrew media, Hebrew radio, and families beginning to be notified, even the first burial starting. But of course, the Sabbath is starting to enter here now. That puts a halt at any possibility to bury those who were killed last night. But the pandemonium, it seems the chaos will continue and details will continue to trickle in. I'm standing here with someone who was here last night, an eyewitness. His name is Shalom Weisberg, and we just spoke earlier about what happened last night, and I just wanted to ask him right here today, how do you feel today about what was happening all morning here and even the events of last night?
Yeah, so I've been here since Wednesday. I've been camping out on the side next to the caver. It was crazy. I was by a different fire, and all of a sudden, you just, like, this little lane in between just splits open, and no one knows what's happening. You're asking, why is there, like, lane splitting? You're trying to go. People are trying to move here. And we just find out that, like, I personally was walking. I see just body bags, people walking, and I just looked once, and I just didn't register, and then I just, like, whoa, there's actually dead human beings here, and it's really, we were just actually here. I went back to the place I'm staying. I came back now to help search for a very close friend of mine's younger brother. We just found out also, unfortunately, passed away. So yeah, it's, I don't know. I'm just a simple teenager from America, just here visiting. I would just really say it's all about just love the person next to you, unity. This is like a super, super sad time, but with God's help, we will all get through it together. And yeah.
Do you feel like emergency services and the police and the ambulances and the Israeli security and emergency services were handling the event in a way that was productive and valuable at the time?
I mean, I saw a bunch of them. I would say all I said to them was just thank you so much for your hard work. Like, any event like this with this amount of people is going to be very, very hard. So the most respect and gratitude to all the service workers that came. Did a great job.
I'm so sorry for your loss, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
There you have it, Sarah. And what we're hearing as well is indicative of what I've been hearing throughout the course of the day. We even heard a loudspeaker earlier today that was calling for people who are missing. We spoke to people who really don't know still where their loved ones are, and they're having to find out right now by making calls and trying to speak to friends who know friends to figure out and try to find out the whereabouts of their loved ones. We're also seeing reactions trickle in, not just locally, but also from across the world, even the Arab world as well. We saw the Bahraini ambassador to the United States post on Twitter sending his condolences. And close by, and nearby actually, Arab village brought food throughout the course of the day to try to help people who were here who needed food and water. And even Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas sent his condolences in a letter to Israeli President Reuven Rivlin. So we are seeing reactions come from across the world, locally, abroad. And it truly perhaps is indicative of what we just heard, a time when people are trying to come together to help in this time of tragedy.
Emily, it's just absolutely heartbreaking scenes, and please pass on your condolences to the gentleman standing next to you. It was absolutely heartbreaking to hear what he did have to say. Now, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also arrived on the scene earlier today. How did the crowd react to his arrival? Because I heard it was somewhat different to the way that this gentleman described how he is reacting to the other authorities.
Right, so I do have to mention that that response wasn't indicative of all the responses we heard. There were those who said that there was an air of animosity between Israeli security, police, and emergency services and those people on the ground, and that they weren't happy with the conduct and the reaction. That's what we heard from some. And that could have been what was expressed when we saw Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu make an appearance today. There were those who shouted, impure, impure, telling him to go away, and perhaps an anger as well emanating from certain pieces of this community. Not all people were feeling warm feelings after that event, and that could be the result in what we saw there today. As well, there are people who are pointing the blame, trying to point fingers at how this did happen, and the investigation is ongoing. As those details tend to emerge, we might see more of that anger perhaps, and that finger pointing, that blaming come out as those details emerge as well.
Okay, Emily Rose, our Middle East correspondent.